Hey everybody, I recently finished building out my first Webflow e-commerce website. It was for a simple crafting store with some handmade crafts and customizable products. Now, while the experience was mostly positive, I will say there was a lot of limitations that I discovered that made the process a little more frustrating for me and the client. So if you are thinking of building out a Webflow e-commerce website, stay tuned and watch the video because there's a few things you might want to know beforehand. So I'll walk you through a few basics of what the structure of an e-commerce website is in Webflow. You're able to go in and build a website as normal, or even convert an existing one to an e-commerce project. So when you're ready to add that functionality, here I've just got a Oscars website, some project, one of my old videos that I was working on. So I wanted to make this an e-commerce site. All I would do is go over here to the e-commerce little shopping cart button, click that, and it's already ready to turn it into a store. It'll create two things by default, products and categories. So I'll just say, let's do this. And then one of the great things that I loved, and it proved to be so useful throughout my entire building process, was the little setup guide that appears. So you got this right here. It has a whole kind of checklist of things that you're going to need to go through before you're ready to launch an e-commerce website. You'll have to add the address, go through all these things, currency settings, shipping. Obviously, adding the products is the main part of this. So this makes it super easy to stay on track. And if you're a little OCD and want that little checklist, it's really great to have. But the best part is that you have full design control even within all of this. So you're still able to build out a normal Webflow project like you're used to, but now you have access to the product pages and things. So if you go to pages, you'll see here, I just have one home page, but you add normal pages like you're used to. But now there's an e-commerce pages section, and here you'll see we have products, categories, checkout, order confirmation, things you'll use. And if you're used to using a CMS in any way, that's basically all that this is. Your products will be collection list items, and that's where you'll have all the information and details on each product stored. I'll go to the finished version of the site I was working on just so you can see. It's a great website, you should check it out, by the way. And you'll see here, this is our categories pages. So there's two categories here. We've got some things that are already crafted and some that are customizable. So if I were to click on any of these products, this is basically the product template page. And similar to a CMS, I have this one page for the bear resin keychain. And every product will look exactly like this, which is great. You build it once, you design it once, and then it absorbs all the styling for all the other products that you create. So if you're used to working this sort of structure, it's really easy to use. You'll have that one section where you have your whole CMS list, which is referencing the products collection, and that's the preview for all these. And when you click onto any of them individually, it'll take you into a product page, and each one will be designed the same however you want it. And you have full design control over everything, which is huge because a lot of other e-commerce sites force you to kind of work within their constraints, and then it doesn't match with the theme of the rest of your website or anything. So a lot of good things here already. But let's talk about our first limitation. So back in this website, say we're adding some new products. I will go over to our e-commerce. I'll go to products. I have no items here yet. So if I click this, let's say I'm going to create 15 sample products. It'll create some basic kind of lorem ipsum filler products so I can design and work with them if I don't have access to real products just yet. So I've got 15 things here. Great. Let's say I wanted to add a new one. I can add a new product. It takes you in through this sort of workflow here. I can name it shirt. And I would just give it a description. I would add an image, do all these things, give it a price. So let's say I create this new product. Perfect. Say I'm going to add another one. Upgrade my site plan already. So it says I've already created all the items allowed in my free plan. And this is just, like 16 products. This may not seem like a limitation if you only have a few products you're planning to do, but keep in mind, it's not just products. It also is meaning collection pages. That counts as an item. It also means variations within a product itself, so different sizes and things. I'll go through an exact breakdown of this in a moment, but basically this is not a lot. And if you want to move forward in your design process, you're going to have to ask for money from your client already. So that could be a huge limitation because if you ask for the basic site plan, the standard e-commerce plan is $348 for the year, or $42 if you're billing them monthly. And that's a lot of money to ask upfront before you can even move forward. And say you run into other issues down the line from here, you've already attached a site plan and they're paying for a website that's not even live for potentially another few weeks or months. So that could be a huge issue for people. So know that you're only going to be able to build out 16 or so items when you're first starting out your e-commerce website before it forces you to attach a hosting plan. So once a hosting plan is attached, there are still some limitations to the amount of items that you're able to have. So the basic site plan allows for 500 items. Now you think, Okay, great, fine. My store is definitely not gonna have more than 500 products in the store. Except, this doesn't mean products itself. This also encompasses category pages like I showed you. So if you have a bunch of different categories, those all count as items. If you have other normal CMS items like blog posts within your website, or say you have a section that displays project previews or like a list of different CMS referred items, those are all counting towards that 500 number. Here's the breakdown on Webflow's website specifically that kind of shows you how these numbers add up to that limit of 500. And you see you get 500 in a standard plan, 1,000 in a plus plan, 3,000 in the advanced plan. So it's a combination of products, product variants, all general CMS items, and then their category pages like I mentioned. So one blog post equals an item, e-commerce, the SKU product, 2 items, blog post plus that. You think you have a lot of room, but you really might approach it faster than you think. The biggest issue of this is variance, and that is where my biggest frustration came when I was building this out. So let's dive into that. All right, so I'm gonna add a new product within my existing website that already has a site plan attached, so I have room to work with. So if I'm adding a new product, I'm gonna name it just t-shirt. I'll say it's a basic t-shirt, and I can just drag an image of a t-shirt for the main image. I'll make it $10. Down here, you'll see options. So this is where you add variations of a product within here. So t-shirts, they have different sizes, colors, all these things, right? So let's do that. So options, I'll name this size. And now here is options within that size. So I'll just write extra small, press enter, and you'll see down below it creates a variant of this product. So there's an extra small t-shirt, great. Then I'll do small, medium, large, XL, double XL. Let's go all the way up to triple XL. There we go. So now you'll see down here, these are all products. So these all count as one product in kind of the back end of things, their SKU numbers. So if you're reaching 500 as your limit, though this is all just t-shirt as a product in your store, each one of the variations of that shirt is counting towards that limit as well. So they count towards the kind of overall store-wide limitation, but each product itself only has room for 50 versions of itself. So you might think that seems like a lot, but look, size this, so let's say that's all the sizes I need. I'm gonna create a color too, because shirts also have color options. So I'll name this color, and I'll add blue, white as an option, and then maybe green, red color, black, yellow, gray, and then maybe a purple color. But look, now I get a message saying you can't create more than 50 variants for this product. So you'll see down here, every combination of what you're creating creates a new product. So an extra small blue shirt is one product, but then if you go down to here, a small blue shirt is another product, and then a medium blue shirt is a third product. So every combination of size and color creates the new product, and you can only have 50. So if you have a shirt or something that's customizable in many different ways, you're gonna hit that limit very fast. So you'll see here, it's creating color and size options for all the things that I just created, and look how many there are. This hits 50 so fast. And this might not even be all the customization options that you need. So let me delete a few of these so I have some room to work with. So let's say these were my only color options. Great, those are my size options. But let's say there's another option set called cut. I can name this crew neck, and then maybe there's a V-neck option as well. He yells at me for that because, again, I've hit the limit between the size combinations, the color combinations, and now each of those combinations has to have another set of combinations to make room for the cut, V-neck, or crew neck option. So again, you're gonna hit that really quick because you're seeing here it's creating all those different versions of itself, which is great that you have the option, but you hit it so fast. So let's say if I got rid of V-neck and there's just crew neck, that's fine. Let's say there's another option to be long sleeve or short sleeve. Okay, I'll just go into options. Oh wait, I've reached my max option set. You can only have 3 options within any product. And that's not based on site plan or anything, that's just Webflow's e-commerce in general. So in terms of options, if I want something other than size, color, or cut for the customer to choose from, I can't. It's only 3 options with that 50 limit. So it could be pretty restricting, you guys. And to top it all off, all of these options in the real view of a website can only be selection or drop down items. So if you see here in the finished version that I have, This keychain has an option for a size, a style, and a customization. They can only be buttons. There was another option to have a drop down, but you can't have custom inputs either. So there are some things like these big keychains, you're allowed to engrave a letter or a word onto these keychains. So normally you'd think, okay, the customer will be able to type a word that they want to have in this product, but this doesn't allow it. You can't have an input within this field because this little chunk of stuff here where it says size, style, customization, those are the 3 option sets that I've defined here. And this is what is kind of absorbing into the form that we'll send later on to you as a store owner. So that way you can see what the customer wants to order and fulfill that order. Within this form, you can't have an input. So you can't even drag one yourself. It's already defined by the e-commerce kind of settings. So there's no way for the person to tell you or write anything like a specific message. But there is a workaround for this later that I will tell you about. So if this is a big issue for you, there are some third-party resources. I know Foxy.io is a popular one. They allow you to integrate their e-commerce platform within your project, and they don't have the same restrictions or limitations, so it could be a good resource. But again, I had to have her pay this hosting fee before I even realized this limitation existed. So she just dropped all this money, but I wouldn't have had her do that if I knew there was another option that I could have explored, like Foxy.io or something. So it's just the order of things were kind of silly, and then it was frustrating to her to have dropped all this money to then realize mistakes were made. Foxy actually allows you to not pay for an e-commerce plan. You could pay for the normal Webflow hosting plan for a normal site, and then you pay Foxy for a separate kind of e-commerce hosting plan that's injected into your website. I didn't end up using it, I never have, but I know there's some good things. Check it out if you want to look into that further. It might be a solution for you. Another quick thing about variants while I'm on this topic. You'll see here that this is where I have all my products. There's a lot of them for this t-shirt, right? The large sizes, the different colors, the crew neck option. By default, if you have one product made, anytime you create a new variant, like all the ones that were created below it, it absorbs whatever media was attached to the first one. So if I had a bunch of images attached to this, they would all have the same set of images, which can be useful if you plan it right. But say that there is a size guide for a t-shirt. You often see that on Amazon or things where it'll show you if your chest is this size, you should definitely buy this size. So let's say I wanted to add that down the line for the t-shirts. I'd have to go one at a time through each of these options and click drag new image, drag new image. Now, for something like this is on my finished site, we had sort of just kind of color guides because I couldn't fit all these colors in the variant options. So we created these little style guides instead. But anytime I added a new color or she sent me another option, I had to go back to the file, edit this image, and then replace it wherever it was being used in all the products. And this happened multiple times, and it wasn't anybody's fault, it's just the nature of the system. So anytime I had to add a new color or adjust a sort of styling guide, I had to go one by one through all the products, and this is just in the t-shirt product. Sometimes the color guide is referenced in a pen or a wood board or something else, so it could take over an hour sometimes just to go clicking through each of these things. Now it's pretty easy to do. You just replace an image or drag an image there. You can change the pricing for specific items, but it's so tedious and time consuming. I wish there was a way to mass edit products that had similar categories or fields attached to them already, because it would save tons of time. So another con is if you wanted to have a customer upload a file to something, that's only available on the e-commerce plus plan, which reflects the features of the business plan. So for example, a product that she has is this heart keychain. There's a version where you could upload an image to this, right? So you would think, great, they can choose a finish, a keychain attachment, and then upload a photo, and that would be really easy and convenient and direct. That's only available on the higher paid plan. And that is a huge price difference. So that plan is $888 for the year versus the $348 for the kind of basic e-commerce plan. That's a huge difference. Now, what if your only product is custom sort of photos or kind of plaques that have uploaded photos or keychains that have inserted photos, those kind of things? Would you have to pay that extreme amount just for 5 products that only need that upload feature? I mean, you could go behind the scenes and follow up with every customer and order afterwards and have them email you an image, but that's not as professional and not as clean. So if Uploading files is going to be an issue for you. You might have to rethink which platform you use because Webflows is very expensive to use that feature. So there are also some fees associated, which are expected in most e-commerce platforms. Now, Webflow takes 2% of each order total after taxes because you're performing this transaction on their hosted platform. Makes sense. But then they also make you integrate Stripe, which is the payment processor. That's the one that works with Webflow e-commerce. That also takes a percentage. Now, it's free to use and set up an account of Stripe. You just have to link the account to your Webflow e-commerce project, but then each transaction will take a percentage as well. So they take 2.9% of every total plus 30 cents. Now let's look at a quick breakdown of all of this. So let's say you have a $10 shirt for sale. You'll have the order total with taxes, and then Webflow will take a 2% of that order total, and then Stripe will take 0.29% of that total and 30 cents. And then that will be your new total. It's not horrible, you still get your profit, but long term, if this is not a solution for you, maybe this isn't the best combination of platforms to use. The nice thing is that Webflow handles all the taxes for you. So once you set a business address within the settings, wherever your business is located, it calculates all of the shipping taxes based on that address. So for example, the business is located in the state of Florida in the US. So it references Florida's taxes at the checkout process. So for example, when I order something from the site, I put in the shipping address to New York, where I live, and I didn't have to pay taxes because I don't have a residence established in the state where the business is located. So shipping to New York, I didn't have to pay anything. Shipping to any state that's not Florida, where the business is located, doesn't have to pay taxes. But then when I tested it and put a business address for Florida, it calculated those taxes for the state. So again, this is only because you're responsible for paying taxes on the state you live in. So it seems like it's perfectly legit and allowed for your business, but I'm not a tax expert though, so just make sure you're reviewing your state tax laws and what you need to pay and report in taxes as the business owner. Something else that might be an issue for you is that there's no way to give the customer tracking or shipping information. You can add some simple customization things in the confirmation email, but there's no way to tell them when their package will arrive. Now, there are other third-party plugins that you can use. I understand Shippo is a very popular one that integrates really easily with Webflow. I've never used it, but they allow you to generate automatically printing labels and tracking information for the customer every time a new order comes in. Apparently it does it all behind the scenes. And then there's a pay per label print option, or there's a subscription plan that probably offers a little more flexibility, but this might be a really good way if you want to have customers look up a tracking number so you know when their product is arriving. So another thing that might be frustrating is that there's no real way to test all of this out without paying for things yourself. So I wanted to test out the workflow as a customer, from product ordering, purchasing, through my emails that I get in return, the payments, how the Stripe processes it on the client's end. So I had to do this every time by buying something from the store. Now, there are ways to send test emails like the confirmation page to see how it looks in your email, but there wasn't really a way to test out the whole process. And I wanted to make sure everything worked before we launched the site. So I had to buy things a little at a time to see how my payments went through, to see how she received the Stripe payments, what the fees were, make sure everyone was getting the right emails where they were supposed to. It was annoying to have to spend the money, but at the same time, Webflow makes it really easy to give refunds in the e-commerce store. So with the click of a button, she was able to just refund me once I realized something worked, and then 2 or 3 days later, the money was refunded. So it's pretty quick, pretty easy, but again, I wish there was a better way for you to just test out all the functions of this. So remember before when I said you can't add customization notes within a product's order itself? So there is a little workaround for this. Now, ideally you'd want to have a message field here where they could tell you which design or wording they want. But like I said, you can only have 3 selects / drop downs. But if you go over to your checkout page in your checkout form under the additional information section, you're able to add a text area input and name it something like order customization notes. So this creates more work for the customer, and they'll have to remember all the things they need to tell you at checkout, like which product needed you to tell you what color it was or what theme it was, that kind of thing. It kind of creates homework for the customer, which isn't ideal. It would be easier to have it attached to each product / order directly, so that way you know when your order comes in what you need to customize, what you need to do. Now there's kind of like a second step of matching what they told you, finding which product they're referring to, and making sure that it all is what they want. It'll just be a general note that comes in on the order confirmation, and both parties will be able to see it. It should be clear and evident, but again, could be cleaner. So those are just a few of the things that I learned throughout this very long process. Now, I'm still glad I did it. It was very informative. I learned a lot, and you know what? It works, and the client's happy, and it looks pretty good. The best part about it is really the design control, because a lot of platforms don't allow you that complete control and flexibility. You have to sacrifice some sort of tonal shifts or design structures that don't really match the rest of your site. Webflow, the whole process is just like you would normally build a actual Webflow website, but you're just dealing with the other e-commerce things behind the scenes that could be the places where it trips you up. But it has a lot of great features. It has all the things like you can have digital products and services instead. You can have weight-based shipping that you can customize, email template customization, easy order maintenance and refunding control, and then probably the most important feature is the client editor. So as usual, this is one of the best selling points of Webflow. So after the product was ready to launch, I had this nice little training session with the client. I was able to show her how to update and maintain her products, add new products down the line, show her how to create discount codes that she could use and apply, and just how to maintain the whole thing overall moving forward so she doesn't have to bug me in the middle of the night. So Webflow e-commerce is probably not the best for every type of business. It's probably the best for some smaller boutique businesses that only have a few different products to sell with not a lot of variations of those products. And I've never used Shopify or other e-commerce platforms, so if you have used this and other ones, let me know in the comments what you think the comparisons are or which you prefer to use, because it's not going to be for everybody, but it's definitely a really user-friendly option that gives you full design control, which, you know, we all love, and that's one of the biggest benefits. So I hope you learned a few things about how to build a Webflow e-commerce website. I definitely would have benefited from seeing a video like this before I started my process, so hopefully it saves you some time. If you got some value out of it, I definitely appreciate a like and a subscribe. I usually do some fun movie-themed design tutorials, so if you're interested in those, check out my other videos. But in the meantime, I will just see you all in the next video.